we got the first week of Boomsday content almost in the books, and it's time to reflect on what's been going on, how the meta has been developing, and this is what the center point of this week's or today's Hearthstone report is going to be. So welcome everybody for the Hearthstone report, and let's get right into it, I think.
So, the Hearthstone meta. It's still easy evolving. This is not set in stone by any means.
No.
But I think we can finally see the first implications of what the new meta is going to look like.
So we have the tier list right here, and this is at point of recording, so at point of view watching this might look a little bit different again. But we're going to just talk about the best decks right now, what they consist of, and how they've been changed by the new expansion. So the top tier 1 decks, there's 4 of them right now. It is Odd Rogue, Odd Pally, Even Shaman, and Zoo Warlock.
None of those are new decks.
Correct.
I believe all of those run some degree of new cards.
Yes.
But none of them are new decks.
Some more and some less.
You want to go through the individual decks a bit?
Yeah, let's go through individually. The Odd Rogue, I think, changed really minimally. Some of them run Giggling Inventor. Giggling Inventor has become an option in a lot of different decks.
Yeah,
decks.
You encounter those a lot. Not just even the odd decks, you encounter them everywhere.
Yeah, with the tokens, it's a control option, so that's apparently really, really good. Myra's Unstable Element is an option for Odd Rogue, though a bit more of a reach there, I believe, because it doesn't happen that much that Odd Rogue really goes to the end, and needs to dig deep for that one last push. Much, I feel.
The way the deck works, at least in my experience, is that you keep in control of the board, and then you make one final push that just kills the opponent.
Exactly, you're going for the burst.
Which usually involves like Leroy and or Cold Blood, Fungal Mances, that kind of stuff. And you are very limited in your card draw. You maybe run 1 or 2 Fan of Knives, and that's pretty much it. And so Myra's Unstable Element is a good option for the late game to just be able to okay, I draw my entire deck and I can probably win with whatever I draw.
I'm not even running Fan. I don't think I run any card draw in my Odd Rogue.
I only run 1 Fan. It's nice against Odd Paladin every now and again. So having all the 1/1s on the board.
So the basic idea is stayed essentially the same, but through the shifting meta, through people trying a lot of experimental stuff, this deck is at a 58% win rate right now.
Yeah,
which is really, really strong. So nothing too crazy going on. There's typically 1 or 2 legends in there only. Baku, of course, is mandatory, and you got the Leroy Jenkins. Evan Van Cleave is an option.
Yeah, although people don't even run it that much.
And then you have, aside from the core cards, you have tech options including Void Ripper, like the Scalebane is possible. We said Giggling Inventor, and JJ's own personal creation, the Blood Knights.
Yeah, they are really good.
That's just his thing. No, I don't think they are. I don't like them, and the people agree with me, but you like the Blood Knights.
Because they destroy Divine Shields for your opponent, especially with Giggling Inventor being run a lot. Now it's becoming even better. Of course, Odd Paladin, which is still one of the best decks in the meta, runs a lot of Divine Shields, and then you have your own Argent Squires that you can sack their Divine Shields to even further boost it.
Alright, so you happen to like him. I'm not a huge fan of him. I think primarily it's just an Odd Pally counter to slightly improve that win rate.
Which is the second worst matchup, I believe, after Odd Warrior.
Yeah, so Odd Pally typically beats Odd Rogue pretty handily.
I actually have a pretty much exactly 50-50 win rate against Paladins.
Okay, that's actually pretty good. So that's really, really good.
So it works.
Yeah, the Odd Rogue has seen some changes to it in how some of it can be composed. It's still one of the more oppressive decks in the meta, which I don't think is ever going to change as long as it's the way it is, because the hero power is just that strong. Just spamming, you're able to spam the board again and again and again.
We're talking about Odd Paladin, right?
Yes.
You said Odd Rogue.
Odd Paladin, of course. So, because the hero power, and it's now running a bit more mech support, though.
Yeah, I feel like it's become a slightly slower deck, but it replaced its Darmals with Glowatrons, which it's basically the same card on its own, and with some of the mech support it runs, it makes sense. It runs the War Gears, it runs... A lot of times I've seen Bronze Gatekeepers, which are also listed as a card. It can run Macaroos, it can run Nightmare Amalgams, and it runs Giggling Inventors.
So the idea is basically that you're going to run Kangors Endless Army.
Yeah.
If you're going to be playing mechs, that makes a lot of sense, and if you get magnetizing them onto each other, that makes you strong in the late game, because Odd Paladin never used to be good in the late game. Like, Odd Paladin needs to beat you before the mana crystals are maxed out, and if it doesn't, then
Well, but usually if you're facing an all paladin, you're not actually going that far.
No, typically you're not going that far because you're dying on 7 or something, right?
So, there's also Ziliax, and as you said, Kangaskhan's army. What I don't understand is the Mechano Egg.
Yeah, that's more to the mid-rangey mech side. I'll see that.
The egg itself is of course not a good minion. The death rattle generates an 8/8, which is really strong, but it's a 0/5.
Yeah, that's not what the old school all paladin is looking to do at all. That's a value play. That's a value play with Kangors.
Like, even if you get some mechs on it, it still takes ages to kill it to actually get the 8/8 out of it.
I think this is just a symptom of, first week people are trying out new stuff. I'm not really buying into it. I'm not having it. My all paladin is basically unchanged. It's the same all paladin. Just go for it.
I can see Glowatrons and Warriors, for example.
Yeah, Void Ripper is also possible. Void Ripper is okay.
But yeah, I'm definitely not buying into the Mechano eggs.
No. I'm not too huge on the mechs right now in Odd Paladin.
The Kangor's Endless Army, I mean, it's just one card for some late game support that works.
It's okay. Corridor Creepers gotta have
The Gatekeepers are kind of slow,
yeah.
But I can also kind of see how they work, because if you're magnetizing them onto something, that's at least 1 extra damage right then and
I'm a fan of the Mecharoos, but I'm also, I like my Dire Balls. So War Gear and Glowtron is okay. I didn't change mine much, and we'll see probably in a few weeks how this actually develops. There's a lot of experimenting still going on. You also mentioned Even Shaman.
Yeah.
So the odd and even Witchwood meta still pretty much dominating the idea of the odd and even deck. So the Even Shaman has not seen a lot of changes either. There is certain cards like I see Arcane Dynamo, which we talked about not being that great of a card. But in this one, apparently it works. So I'm not playing Even Shaman. But this is more of a value deck, I think, when it comes down to playing Arcane Dynamo as it is completely like the aggro as it was before.
I mean,
runs a lot of big stuff.
How many spells are there for Shaman that cost 5 more?
Well, you got the Bloodlust, which is a good one. You got the Volcano, which is a really good one. Of course, you got the Stormbringer now.
So I think
be the high roll there.
This is primarily there to get some of the cards that you can run because they're odd statted, and specifically, I think you can go wide on the board with this deck. You usually won't go that wide, but you can get somewhat wide. And Bloodlust can be a really good game finisher, which you can discover with the Arcane Dynamo. So that I can see you have Thunderhead in there now.
Yeah.
Which, again, makes your board a bit wider. It, of course, synergizes with cards like Zap that allow you to kill some stuff and then overload. Menacing Nimbus is listed as an option here. Yeah, it's okay, I guess.
As well as Hagatha, of course, all the big stuff like Lich King, Kalamos, and the Alak here. Sea Giants are also possible, so this is a value-oriented deck. As for now, we don't know how it's going to turn out, but Even Shaman's still looking to be one of the stronger mid-range options.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be removed from the tier 1, 2 spots.
It's probably gonna stay.
Depending on how the percentiles end up working out, it might just drop into tier 2 because of technicalities, but it's always gonna be one of the top decks.
It's gonna be one of the better winners.
It might be slightly more adjusted, just like the other decks, where there's some cards that might be dropped or added.
Correct.
But overall, the archetype's gonna be a thing in the future.
And then we have probably the most interesting shift so far, which is the Zoo Warlock. Because there's a lot of ways you can play it. There's a lot of different types you can play it, and there's a lot of stuff that came out now with Boomsday that supports it.
Yeah, I mean, the best and also most popular version still is the Healing Zoolock.
Exactly.
And it hasn't really changed that much, actually.
That's Heal Zoo means the Light Warden, Voodoo Doctor, and Fungal Enchanter package with the Happy Ghouls.
Yeah, of course. It still runs Kaliseth, it still runs the entire healing package. It
the Solarium.
And now has the Solarium.
Has kind of essentially replaced the Blood Reaver once and for all in this.
It has Soul Infusion and it has Doubling Imps.
Yeah, Soul Infusion, Doubling Imps, because they go well together. Soul Infusion goes well with the Serenite Chain Gang.
Yeah.
And a lot of times you can actually aim your Soul Infusion. Like, you can play it, because you have so much small stuff that you'll just play whatever you don't want to get Soul Infused, and then you keep until whatever you want to get Soul Infused is in the right spot, and then you play it.
Also, mind you, when you're facing a Warlock, you know for a fact it's Zoo. 53% of all Warlock decks are a Zoo.
Yeah, there's some even, but if
followed
it's
by
even,
like
you'll
50%
know it right
even, and then there's also the Pain Warlock, which is still somewhat popular.
Which is essentially
also a different variety of Zoo.
Yeah, exactly. That's the one that's a bit more mid-rangey.
Yeah, it doesn't run Kaliseth.
Yeah, it doesn't run Kaliseth. It runs Volgar Monkulus instead. I do also run a Zoo, which is a slightly different variant of this. I'm not a fan of the heal package. Never have been. I'm I'm looking at a bit more big demons. I got the Dreadlords in there, the Doom Guards. I got Leroy Jenkins, and I have the Blood Reaver.
Yeah.
Sea Giants have been replaced with the Doubling Imps. But other than that, I like my Kaliseth, and I like the Blood Reaver in case you need to go along. Because if you're facing a heal zoo with that, and your match in the beginning, you'll have an advantage later. So that's why I like that better. It's a tier 1 decks, and there's a bunch of tier 2 decks. Surprisingly, for me right now, no Druids up there. There's no Druids all the way up there. There's a lot of Druids in tier 2.
Yeah, there's Big Druid, there's Token Druid, there's Mill Druid.
As we were expecting, because Druid got some really, really good stuff this expansion, but not right now.
Yeah.
Right now, none of the absolute top decks are Druids, even though we all know that, like, on the ladder, every other player we face is a Druid anyway, because they just so consistently strong with the Floop, and the Psych Melon is a strong card. The Mecha'thun obviously is happening right now. They're playing that a lot.
Yeah,
people are experimenting that kind of like they were with the Shutterwalk.
There is no real good Mecha'thun deck.
No, there's no Mecha'thun deck right now with a positive win rate,
which really tells you that. I mean, there's gonna be some more optimization in the future, but I don't think that any of them are gonna stick around. I shall
remind you that like a few weeks after Witcher release, there was no Shutterwalk deck with a positive win rate.
Really?
Yes. Shutterwalk only happened later when people started putting Hagatha and started playing the control variant.
Okay.
And the meta started shifting more towards, the insane dominance of Odd Pally. That's when Shutterwalk became strong. So Mecha'thun, the options are still there, and see how it develops.
For me, it looks like people are going to slightly optimize the Mecha'thun decks, but I don't think there's that much room to improve. And then, while the other decks are establishing themselves, Mecha'thun will be by contrast weaker again because the other decks are getting strong.
It's possible. So, we can basically just, if we want to, we can look at the classes real quick, win rate by classes.
I wanted to quickly point out some of the tier 2 decks that are maybe worth mentioning. There is Spellhunter is still there. Yes. It's still a very successful deck.
Really strong deck.
Somewhat consistently beats Audrobe, which is important.
Deathstalker Rexter is only getting stronger.
Yeah, there is... Even Warlock is still a thing. It's basically where it was previously. Yeah. Token Shaman is a new deck that is really successful, comparatively for being a new deck.
Running the Stormbringer.
It's running the Stormbringer, it's running the Death's Thrall. It runs all of the 1/1 sparks with Rush.
The Bloodlust and all the tempo shit, yep.
I mean, as we said, there's a bunch of Druids that are still a thing.
Cube Warlock still at almost at 53%, so that's making...
And it only got one new card, didn't it? The Ectomancy.
Yeah, that's making a comeback. That's making a comeback for real. I'm not opposed to it.
And then we got the typical decks: Deathrattle Hunter, Big Spell Mage, Odd Warrior. We mentioned the Pain Warlock, Control Warlock. There's
Tempo Mage is still up there.
There's a new Deathrattle Rogue. There's Manus Druid. Tempo Mage is still trying to exist.
On the bottom of tier 2.
Shadowwalk is in tier 3 now currently.
Yeah, tier 3, tier 4. We're getting into the experimental decks, and more of the new stuff.
Yeah, don't do it.
Yeah, try some stuff out,
yeah, I mean, there's
the Mecha'thun
all
decks,
the Mecha'thun decks,
all the Mech
Mech
Hunters
decks, Mech Hunter, Mech Helen. What I think is kind of worth mentioning is the Pogo Rogue in tier 4.
Yeah.
With a win rate of 37.63% right now.
The thing is, people are playing this wrong because we played Pogo Rogue last week and we destroyed folks.
And we didn't even have all 4 cards.
And you need to go and check that out because the video's on our channel. It's right here, so go check out the Pogo Opera video.
Of course,
rocking and rolling.
Valera was missing an hours, as was the Elec, and we still pulled some stuff off.
Dominated.
Interestingly enough, when I looked at the best performing deck has a 51.9% win rate.
Yep.
Out of that archetype. The most popular one has a 35% win rate. That tells you that the version that is being run most just happens to be bad and drags the win rate down.
That also tells you that that there's not enough sample size yet.
Yeah, of course. There's 2,000 matches per deck.
There needs to be a lot of tens of thousands matches to make that judgment.
We can see certain cards that are running the most popular deck that just aren't in the...
Yeah, like the Thalnos, the Witchwood Piper.
Yeah. Those all help the best performance, sorry. Those help. The Witchwood Piper, I think, is a great addition.
Yeah, so
as a matter of fact, I would maybe consider dropping the Thalnos then, because you want to pull your Lab Recruiters and or Pogo Hoppers.
Yes.
Sonya, of course, makes sense. So, I think this deck is gonna still rise a bit.
Yeah, Pogo
Look out for the Pogo Hopper deck.
They're big-ass bunnies, man.
It's looking really bad right now because there's a lot of a mixed bag of decks going on there.
Maybe they can find, maybe your rogue can find a way to not build the entire deck around this, but kind of focus it as a value option, more of a mid-range rogue.
I can definitely see the Pogo Hopper Rogue be something in the future.
Why not?
It's currently, again, it's weighed down by a lot of experimentation.
It's only one expansion that's been supporting it so far. So let's now look at the, to close it off, the class win rates to kind of judge where classes are at. And surprisingly enough, as opposed to everyone's expectation, Druid is not the #1 class by more than 10%. Which, that's what everyone has been expecting, that's what I've been expecting. I've been expecting full Druid Stone. But, well, there's a lot of experimentation still going on, so it hasn't really settled in that well yet. Warlock is currently the #1 class, which is primarily due to the amount of Zoo being played and the amount of games being won with Zoo.
I said before, like, Zoo's what was it, tier 1 deck?
Yeah, it's a tier 1 deck.
And it has over half of all Warlocks are Zoo Warlocks.
Correct.
Paladin is #2, Hunter 3, Druid 4.
Hunter 3 is surprising, but I like it.
Shaman 5, Mage 6, Warrior 7, Rogue at #8, having the best deck in the meta, but also some of the worst ones. Because people will be running Mechathune, people will be running the Death Rattle Rogue, which kind of works, but isn't as good as the Odd Rogue. There's the Test Rogue that's being run again.
There's Malagos Rogue, some people out, you know.
There's Malagos Rogue.
Feeling froggy running Malagos Rogue.
There's the Pogo Hoppers, there's a lot of stuff that just doesn't currently work.
I've been trying to pull off the Leroy Jenkins Rogue, but...
and then in the...
Almost.
In the prestigious #9 spot, the Priest.
Oh, bad spot. This is Priest at 41% win rate.
Interestingly enough, the best classes for Arena are Warlock, Rogue, and Druid in that order.
That makes sense.
So, it used to be, for a long time, it used to be Mage as #1.
Mage is pretty strong. But Warlock is never bad with the hero power. You can draw cards.
Yeah, so there's that.
Yeah, so apparently it's a Warlock meta right now. Still expecting it to become a Druid meta sooner or later. Paladin is always pretty good. And Priest is in a bad spot. Like, Priest in in Constructed is...
The thing about Druid is that besides the mill Druid, Odd Rogue has a positive win rate against all Druids.
Well, yeah, Odd Rogue, that's one deck.
Yeah, but that's also currently the best deck.
But not the most played deck.
No, but, you know, if everyone starts running Druid, then people in response will start running Odd Rogue and other decks that can beat Druids consistently.
Well, that's kind of how it shifts, right? But the idea is that Druid just got to such a power level in this expansion that the win rate will still be insanely high either way. So I'm still looking at people figuring out the best way to use Floop in combination with the Malagos or their Hedronox or with their Mechathune, possibly because people running the Mechathune too, to kind of take over. We'll see how it develops, and we'll probably comment on that.
I can see Token Druid becoming a thing, but and the other Druids being more or less as they were before with some slight improvements. I don't see Druid dominating the meta.
Oh, I do. I do see Druid absolutely rock.
I still think that Rogue, Paladin, and Warlock are going to be the 3 best classes. Maybe not necessarily in that order, but those 3, maybe Shaman.
Well, you're talking about decks, not classes, right?
Fair enough.
Specifically the Odd Rogue, because there's not that much else that is good about Rogue, right?
Fair enough. So, that's okay. So, Odd Rogue, Odd Paladin, even Shaman, Zoolock, and even Warlock, maybe, but yeah.
Yeah, I can see that, but I'm still expecting for Druid to make a rise.
Druid might be one of the more consistent classes, but I don't think you should judge a class by how good its bad decks are, but rather by how good its good decks are.
Well, how good it is on average, I guess. Or, I guess on the average on how much stuff is played and how the win rates are, which is why the average class win rate counts.
I still think that the average class win rate doesn't tell you much. I think that you should always be able to judge a class by its best archetypes, and in that case, of course, like Rogue is significantly better than it was on the list of the average win rates, for example. Yeah. I'm not too sure. I might not agree with that, but I think that's a Hearthstone report for this week. Yeah.
Have some discussion in the comments about it if you have an opinion, and let us know your prediction on how you think it's going to turn out. What do you think of Druid, Rogue, Warlock, Pally? Where's they all going? And we're gonna see you in the next one, JJ.
That's it.
That's it.